Welcome everybody. Hope everyone's having a good Thursday. Terra disaster still rages on. Everyone's got an opinion. It's the talk of the town, talk of the globe. A lot of people are comparing it to other famous one-off black swan incidents in crypto's history, like the Mt. Gox disaster or like COVID happening. It's a big deal, basically, Terra collapsing. A lot of people made money. A lot more people lost money. Moon Carl, he put in a $1.8 million gamble that Terra would go down, would recover yesterday when it was going down. That did not turn out well. This person here, YouTuber KSI, he lost $2.8 million in the crash. It's an unconfirmed case, a suicide attempt. This isn't good. Not sure if this is confirmed, but yeah, that's not good. And you have this person here, supposedly making a ton of money. He shorted when it was $110 a few weeks ago and sold off when it was just a couple dollars yesterday. Claims he's up 1,000%. He's a millionaire. It's, again, unconfirmed. Pretty savvy trade if it is true, but I mean, some people are making money. And we got this report here of swingers couples infiltrating crypto Twitter, trying to take advantage of vulnerable crypto traders during these crazy emotional market swings. It's a lot of craziness going on in crypto here. This here shows these are the 5 biggest wallets owned by, just the five biggest wallets that hold Luna. They all lost $300 million or more, including the biggest one here, which lost $1 billion. So these could be the team wallets, these could be investor wallets. Nobody really knows, but a lot of people losing a lot of money. So how are the markets doing today is the real important question. So a slight recover from yesterday's low of 26.5, so 28,200 right now. See, it went down, seemed to turn around 26.5. Hopefully that will turn into the low. Went up, lost almost touched 30, lost a little bit of those gains. On the 7-day chart, we have this clear low here. So the question is that the permanent low, 26.5? As I said, earlier in the week, it was actually mostly bullish news coming out, surprisingly, but the Bitfinex whale, he's very long. A lot of bids are opened up there. He is very accurate with sort of medium hold term directional trades on crypto, holds positions for anywhere from a week or two to a couple months, tends to be accurate. So the fact that he is buying and has been buying, that's good news. Then, as I covered last time, the Green Fear Index 12 today. It hit 10 3 days ago, and then it never goes below 10, but pretty much every single time it hits 10 or 11, it almost always bounces back. It usually takes always takes between 0 and 3 days to bounce back permanently, the market. Here's what this chart shows, and yesterday when the market bounced at 26.5, that was about 2 to 2.5 days after it hit 10, so if the past holds true here, then the market that's the turnaround right there. So we will cross our fingers. And I mean, additionally, I think it's kind of, so these were 2 pretty big events here. Obviously the Terra implosion yesterday, then inflation number did come out worse than expected, 8.3%. They're expecting 8.1%. But the market kind of just swallowed it up and wasn't really affected. Yeah, it went down a little bit. Went down about $1,000–2,000 after that, but then it bounced right back up. And these are 2 pretty big stories, obviously. In another market, these could have just totally cannibalized everything. It could have sent BTC down to 20,000 or even below, and it didn't. It just sent it down a couple percentage points, and then the market bounced back up. So I think that's showing strength, a solid base there. So more onto Luna here. So the big question is, now that we know Luna isn't recovering, it's at 0, we know what happened, but was it a coordinated attack or not? And then, in my opinion, anyone with half a brain can tell that this was clearly a coordinated attack. But who's responsible? That's the question nobody knows, and that needs to be the focus going forward. So, yeah, to kind of reiterate what happened here, let me just change the camera angle here, get this bigger. Move this here. There, actually, never mind on that. But yeah, basically what happened, so over a 12-hour period starting on May 8th, there were 4 separate transactions totaling $280 million. USD was sold, totaling that amount of Binance, Anchor, and Curve. And then the problem was, obviously, since users can redeem UST tokens for Luna tokens at a 1-to-1 conversion rate at any time, that caused a cascading amount of arbitrage trades. Traders took advantage of this and swapped their lower value UST tokens for the higher amounts of Luna at no cost to them. And then this caused the death spiral to happen. The prices kept going lower and lower, and more arbitrageurs kept taking advantage, and Terra was just not able to come out of its death spiral. And so the attackers then, knowing that this death spiral was going to occur ahead of time, they simultaneously opened large shorts at the same time in the beginning, where they sold off their $280 million of USD on Binance Curve and Anchor. So they opened the short position at Luna to capitalize on the death spiral and price that they knew was going to happen. So, I mean, to summarize quickly, just the $280 million quick sale that they knew that they unloaded on the market, they knew that that would cause Luna to start going down, and then they knew that it would cause the UST peg to become unpegged, and that would cause the death spiral, which then they could take advantage of with their short trade. So, who is responsible is the question. Well, one thing we can do, we can look at who Terra's investors are. It's a big company. They have a lot of investors, so any company that's invested in them, they couldn't have been the culprits. So who is invested in Terra? So Pantera Capital, Arrington XRP, so those are big Silicon Valley crypto VCs. Kinetic Capital, that's a Canadian crypto VC. Coinbase Ventures, so they're not involved. It's the VC firm of Coinbase. Galaxy Digital, it's Mike Novogratz's firm. He's not involved. Lightspeed Ventures, they're a Silicon Valley mainstream tech VC. Avalanche Labs, so that's their incubator. They invested a lot of people. There was the theory it's a competing blockchain, so if that's the case, it was not Avalanche. They are investors in Terra. Greylock and Bain Capital, those are Massachusetts-based mainstream private equity firms, and Sequoia Capital, that's a mainstream tech VC with a lot of crypto holdings in Silicon Valley. So all those companies are not involved. Additionally, Polychain Capital, they're invested in Terra. Long-term crypto VC, FBG Capital, that is an Asia crypto VC, and then Binance Labs. So Binance is invested in Terra, so they were not involved. And so this really, I mean, this is a very well-funded attack, $280 million. So there's only so many entities in the space that have that kind of capital and can pull it off. So by process of elimination, it's none of these companies. I definitely don't think that it was Citadel or any mainstream hedge fund. I'm not quite sure mainstream macro global hedge funds, that I don't think they're quite sophisticated enough in the crypto space yet to pull something like this off. Maybe another year or two, not now. I think it was definitely a crypto entity. They have to have the capital. It's not any of these investors. I have my loose suspicions, but I'm going to keep it to myself for now. But I definitely do think it was a coordinated attack and somebody profited big time. Moving on. Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin 3-spot ETFs launched in Australia yesterday. Obviously kind of a bad time for these ETFs to launch, right, as the market was tanking. So they took in about 1 million, 1 to 1.5 million in trade volumes yesterday on the first day. Not a huge amount, much less than Canada's debut. They took in 100 million the first few hours of trading, so much less than that. But I mean, hey, it was yesterday that these were launched. Like, come on, you can't expect huge, bear market, and nobody's going to be throwing money into that. So that's not a negative thing whatsoever. And it was launched without a hiccup, no technical problems, so that's good. And then simultaneously, Grayscale and the SEC are having some productive meetings. A month ago, this was not the case. These two did not seem anywhere close to the SEC approving a spot ETF for Grayscale, but now they had a productive closed-door meeting yesterday, so that's good. Obviously, as I've said before, the U.S. SEC approving a spot ETF, it's just been so many years, that would be a huge event. That would definitely cause a lot of positive momentum in the market, at a time when we need it the most. So this is something to definitely watch for. Moving on, so everyone's seeing the Coinbase stock is way down, but is it just too low, basically, and is this a good buy on the dip opportunity? I think so, frankly. I mean, down 87% for a company that's been around 10 years, stood the test of time, very well run, $381 to $50 in only a year and a half. I mean, that just sounds like it was decreasing more than it should have. Just due to the market going down and other occurrences. It just sounds too low, basically. You know, their user rate, like the numbers here, so revenue fell 27% year over year, but that's expected. So a year ago, that was the bull market, so of course revenue is going to be much higher than only 27% less. That's not that bad, actually. It's a lower drop than Robinhood had. But also volume from the last quarter to this quarter dropped a little bit here, but again, that's to be expected as well. 87% stock drop, that just seems way too low. And then a lot of people are saying that it is a good buy. Brian Armstrong himself, it says fire sale price. He has said he says yes, the stock is a buy, you should buy it. Jeremy Allaire, personal opinion, the company is incredibly undervalued right now. I share Brian Armstrong's sentiment. They're in a strong position, building one of the great companies on the internet. I agree. Forbes, quoting a lot of analysts, is saying the fears appear greatly overblown. Keep in mind, last week's stock, you know, 30% of that 87% drop was just in last week alone, just due to the market sort of cascading. So yeah, I think it's just too low. Also, part of it's just, you know, the FTX kind of being the newer, sexier option. They're just going to be getting more attention. FTX, they've only been around 3 years. They're doing all these sort of sexy events, Formula One race and everything. They're just going to be in the media more, and people are just going to be buying their FTX token more, you know, in part because they do have good fundamentals, but also just because it's newer. People like new things, and it's in the media more. It's more buzzworthy. Coinbase been around 10 years. They've stood the test of time, but you could argue that they're just not as sexy just because they've been around so long. So people are going to be buying that stock less. So the bottom line is I definitely agree with these analysts that Coinbase is vastly undervalued at 87% off its all-time high in only in a year and a half. That's it for now. Be back tomorrow with a new episode. Catch everyone later.